the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, Ronalda Nalumango, has raised concerns about the dissolution with immediate effect of the South African Tourism Board by the Minister of Tourism, Patricia, de Lille. Now, de Lille has dissolved the SA Tourism Board with immediate effect, saying it exceeded its powers by appointing a board member to carry out some of the functions of the previous chair, Professor Gregory Davids, who resigned in July. According to a press statement from the minister, she previously cautioned the board of the possible implications of failing to follow due process when convening both special and ordinary meetings. For more on this, we're actually joined by the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, Ronalda Nalumango. Ronalda, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, Leanne.
So why is the Portfolio Committee concerned over the dissolution of the South African board by the minister?
Leanne, we are concerned around the developments of the dissolution of the board because this entity consumes about 54% of the overall tourism budget.
Please continue, Ronalda. I mean, are there, we can hear you, but are there specific governance failures that prompted the minister to dissolve the board? Perhaps maybe that's at the root of it. And how did these failures violate the Tourism Act or the board's charter?
This entity, Leanne, every quarterly they do appear in front of the committee, and we have not heard of any of these governance matters that are now alluded to in the public domain. So we are waiting for our opportunity as the committee to convene on the 2nd of September, because that is when Parliament is opening again. We are currently in recess, to have the minister in front of us to account for what is happening and why she took this certain route to dissolve the board, as well as we are able to bring any stakeholder in front of the committee, as well as inviting the board to give us their version, and then we are going to take it from there as the Portfolio Committee on Tourism.
I mean, let's look at sort of the clauses or in the Act or Charter which were violated, and who actually bears the responsibility? Will Parliament actually go and seek legal review on this?
The Act makes the minister responsible to appoint, and she has cited in a statement that an acting chairperson were appointed by the board itself, which means they did not take the route of going through the minister. But we need to understand, all the dynamics behind why the board have failed to appoint an acting chairperson. We do need to hear from the minister herself, because we were all caught off guard in terms of the decision that she's taken. We were all of us received all this information through a statement, as she said earlier on, through a statement that she released in the media. So no one of the committee members have been taken into confidence by the minister. So we will wait for the minister to appear in front of the committee and come and account so that we allay the fears of the public out there. Because this entity is responsible for the marketing of our country globally as well as domestically. So they play a vital role in the tourism sector.
They certainly do. I mean, that does go without saying. We'll wait to hear, in terms of when she appears before the committee. As you say, it's on recess, beginning of September is when we can hear. But let's talk a little bit more about the effects of this, because how will the dissolution of this tourism board impact ongoing tourism initiatives? I mean, we've got the G20 summit collaboration with the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. We've also got the Tourism Investment Summit that's planned for September 2025. Is this going to hamper plans? What's going to happen there?
The Act of 2014, the Tourism Act, it empowers the minister to appoint an administrator, which we are hoping she would have done by now, because this is not the first time, Leanne, that this board has been dissolved. It's the second time. And previously, when the board was dissolved, I think there were 2 or 3 people that was appointed by the then minister to act in an administrative capacity to continue the work of the board. So we would have hoped that this is what the minister is going to do. We would be urging her to do that so that, any work that needs to be done towards the G20 do not get hampered.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of concerns. I mean, Outer and a lot of others calling this political meddling. So the question is, how will your committee separate lawful execution action from undue interference? And that's something that I think is a big concern. What criteria are you going to use in all of this?
Thank you, Leanne. We will be looking at the Act and what the Act is saying, as well as we are going to, as I've said, we want to bring the board, whether they dissolved or not, we want to bring the board as well to have an opportunity to take the portfolio committee into confidence, as well as the minister, so that we have both sides of the story, that we dig a little bit deeper and really see what have transpired. Because from the portfolio committee side, every quarterly, as I've stated, Professor Davids represented the board at the committee meetings, and we were not alluded to any governance matters or leadership matters in the board. So we are a bit in the dark in terms of what have transpired, but we will be calling the minister to account as well as the board, so that we get to the bottom of this. And if there were any meddling, etc., it will be our meetings are screened live for the whole of South Africa to see, and we will be holding the minister accountable.
Yeah, and that certainly is, the transparency is important, and we'll hopefully get to maybe understand these governance red flags that will be highlighted by the dissolution, because I think people are concerned about this. Let's perhaps now look forward and see what the process is now. Can you clarify the process and timeline for appointing an interim structure or new board members as outlined by the minister?
And we would have hoped that she would have done this, after the dissolution. The Act empowers her to do that, but we will also be urging her in the meantime to try and stabilize the board by initiating a process, to appoint a new board.
And that's what we wait for, I imagine, with bated breath, to see how this goes. In terms of have you requested documents? Have you had any contact as yet? I mean, perhaps maybe for a legal risk memo or possible litigation or claims by former board members to try and get a better understanding as to what's going on and any exposure arising from decisions taken by this disputed 1st of August meeting?
Leanne, none of the board members have written to the portfolio committee yet. So the route that we will be taking is to bring the minister on the 2nd of September, as well as the board, so that, we hear both sides of the story. And I think I'm really placing emphasis on it, so that, we understand, from the board side, why certain decisions were taken to dissolve them. And we will hear from the minister side what led her to take the decision to dissolve the board, so that we can just, dig a little bit deeper, get to the root cause of why this board was dissolved. And as I've stated, there has been instability previously with the entity having been dissolved. Not the first time this board has been dissolved. And we would just like to stabilize the South African Tourism Board, because as I stated, it takes the chunk of our, or the biggest chunk of our budget, the tourism budget, and we would just like to ensure that there's stability in the board.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for talking to us. Indeed, this is not the first time. It seems to be that SA Tourism has this repeated governance flare-ups over recent years, which we've been witness to, and now here we go again. But let's just hope that there's some resolution, as Ronalda Nalumango has spoken and outlined to us. That's the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. This was all about the dissolution of the South African board. That's the Tourism Board. So let's see what happens there.